we've made it to the topic section, and I am so honored. I told you guys I'm going to be bringing more subject matter experts in because y'all hear my mouth all the time. I do my research, I give you my citing of my sources, but at the same time, I wanted to bring people that you can hear it from their experience, okay? What they're doing to help shape their lives. And right now, I have Dawn with me. And Don, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to be talking about, a little bit of EFT and relationships, okay? And specifically how the mind is in the past, present, and future when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to building relationships. Is that correct?
That is correct. So think about it this way. If you think about an argument you had in a relationship a few years ago, and like you really think about it, you can get yourself all worked up and mad and feel it in your body, right? Or if you're knowing you're going to go home and you get yourself like talking about what's going to happen. Oh, here's how they're going to react, and you get yourself all worked up. The brain sees it all as right now. So it doesn't matter if it happens in the past, doesn't matter if it happens in the future. We feel and experience everything as right now. So your brain is pulling everything in as right now. So whatever it is that we're trying to do is impacting us in the moment.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, that is impactful. She's not the only one that says it. I will give you another person to listen to, Joe Dispenza. He lets us know how many thoughts that we have going on in our mind, and there's an estimate between 50 to 72,000 thoughts, and 92% are the thoughts that we thought yesterday. 92%. It's like wild to even think about.
I know. It's nuts. And we delete, distort, generalize the same things over and over and over again. And it impacts our relationships. So this is really interesting. I just saw something on the Gottman Institute, and they were talking about how when you're in a relationship that you're unhappy in, you miss over half of the good things that your partner does because all you're focused on is the bad things. So even when they're trying to fix themselves, when they're trying to do the things that you ask, you're still focused on the crap. So you miss all the good things because that's where your mind's at.
Oh my God. Biggest facts I have ever heard. Biggest facts ever. But before we really dive in, because I'm already diving in, y'all, I asked on, can you tell us about your background and your experience and what drew you into helping people with their relationships? I'm so sorry.
No, you're great. You're great. So I've been working in the kind of alternative healing realm for 26 years, right? Working with mind body experience, classical homeopathy, tapping, which is also called EFT, hypnotherapy, neurolinguistic programming, which is how the words impact our mind and our bodies, and how do we see the world. I got into relationships because my core values, well, besides playfulness, is people want to be loved. Like that's why we're here as humans. We want to be connected. We want to be loved. We're mammals, but we're also like, I want to be part of the herd. But wait, I want to be independent and cool. But wait, I want to be part of the herd. But wait, I gotta, So we're in this mix, and I really wanted to understand what was happening in the mind at really deep levels that we could shift in order to find more connection and more love with ourselves and others.
I love that. I hear y'all, what y'all don't know. Everyone thinks that I'm super confident all the time. And I'm like, what you fail to realize is I do NLP. Like, I have a trigger that I personally do to get myself in my confidence spirit. Okay. Because sometimes please know, I'm a majority introvert. Let me stay home. Everything that I need is at my house. I just recently got a rebounder and a walking pad. I don't need to leave this house. Like, I'm good. I am good. But at the same time, how I turn myself on is I hold my fingers together like this, and I do a deep breath and I say on. That's really those are my triggers to get myself turned on and say, hey, I'm here, I'm present, let's get this going, and yeah, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that that is your line of work. You've also, there's, when you go, y'all, when you guys look at healers, there's so many different modalities, aka so many different studies that people are using to help them stay in their wholeness. Because we've already been whole. We're not broken. None of us are broken. We just are not recognizing our greatness within us. And I have a question for you, my love.
All right.
You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
Okay. The question I have for you is, I am now almost in a 6-year marriage, and I'm really proud of us because we knew each other for 3 months. And I said, you know what? I want to marry you. Got down on one knee, married him. And then the abandonment and the neglect from my father and him not being there came in. And I started putting all of that frustration of that relationship that I wanted with my father figure on my husband.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that's a clear example of, I think, what you're talking about by the past being the present and also the future. And so
Mm-hmm.
my question is, how does one go about completely untriggering themselves and removing the trigger altogether of the frustration from using a past relationship to dictate their current relationship?
So the way that the deepest, fastest way to do it is by shifting whatever belief is underneath that, or whatever situation created the abandonment, right? That's the fastest way. But the fact that you're aware of it and working on it, that alone is a huge thing. Like when I work with couples, we talk a lot about half the arguments are about like, hey, I don't feel heard or seen, or like you care about me. And the other person's like, what do you mean that I don't feel heard, you don't feel heard or seen? Look at all what I'm doing for you. That's what we're all saying underneath. And then, but instead it sounds like, you didn't wash the dishes. Oh yeah, well, you didn't see that I mowed the lawn. Oh yeah, well, you never take care of the kids. And we're blaming when underneath we're going like, hey, are you here for me? Are you connecting to me? And that abandonment thing is huge, because as humans, like that's our survival instinct kicking in, right? And so learning or looking at all the ways, like refocusing your mind on what are all the ways he is here for me? What are all the ways he is showing up for me? And really, once again, when you're focusing on that, then you're not seeing all the ways that he could be going or it could be abandoning, right? Because now where focus goes, energy flows, right? You're looking at the good things he's doing rather than the other stuff that's in the past. So it's
I,
twofold.
I love it because I was like, I tell people all the time, I was like, you need to be mindful what you're focusing on. Because if
Mm-hmm.
you're focusing on whatever you focus on appreciates, whatever appreciates, that means that it can feel like, I will say, a calm, like beach warm front, or it can feel like a hurricane and tsunami just came in and you said, "Whoop," in the it is literally you having the realize that I tell people on the show that your emotions are the background track of your life because you are the main character.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gotten to this point where I told my mom this a while ago when I was a lot younger, and I was like, I don't want to be independent. I want to be interdependent. I want to be able to be independent, but also still love others and still build community together, knowing that we're full, whole beings each, but together, we're the multiplication factor of amazingness put
Mm-hmm.
together. And so, my question for you now is, for those struggling with strong, passionate emotions, okay? What are some initial steps that they can use to approach neutralizing those emotions? Because I know for me, I squirrel out. That's what I tell people. I'm like, y'all, I act like Doug from Up. Squirrel, okay, there's a lamp there. Squirrel, there's a light over there. Squirrel, there's a calendar. I'm gonna look at this calendar. That's literally sometimes what I'd have to do
Yeah.
to get myself off of the situation, the circumstance, or whatever is the trigger. So
Yep.
my question to you is, what do you use? What do you give people to use? Because that's what I use. Not everyone can use what I use and it works.
Right. Exactly. That's why I learned tapping, emotional freedom techniques. So not all tapping is emotional freedom techniques, but you can literally acknowledge what you're feeling right now, tap on certain points, and not only does it calm your whole nervous system, but it changes the way that your brain accesses that whole group of memories. So you can tap on, let's say, abandonment. Like, even though right now I'm feeling abandoned, I know that my husband loves me, or I love myself. And your body goes, oh, so even though there's this thing over here, it's actually pretty cool, and that's all right. And your whole body calms down and it shifts the way you see things. It shifts the way that your neurology works and what your brain is accessing. So that's one of my favorite, like really quick keys. And it works even in arguments, although you can't be like, look what you're making me do. This is how upset you're making me. Like you don't want to do that. That's not super helpful. But you can hold points or rub points or tap your fingertips together or tap the sides of your legs in certain spots, right? And it calms the body down. Of course, deep breaths do the same thing, like really, but feel it breathing all the way down into your feet, or just finding like, how right now am I safe? How right now am I connected either to myself or to my other person? Because emotions, when we get emotions, energy, emotion, but we get up in our heads. And when we tune back into our hearts, deep into our bodies, feel ourselves on the earth, then we can have more calm and clarity and confidence and choice and make decisions about how we want to react. Even if that means like, I'm so ticked off right now, I'm going to go in the other room and you just hold on a minute. We'll come back in an hour or whatever it is. Right. Or I feel the need to escape right now. So I'm going to. And it doesn't mean I'm mad at you or that I hate you or that I'm abandoning you. But right now I don't know how to react except to escape. And so it's not about you, it's about me. So sometimes just those clear little communication pieces are amazing.
Girl, you have me writing notes. I'm just like, let me. Okay, I want to ask you about that. I want to ask you about this. Y'all, here? You guys can see this because you guys are watching this on YouTube on my replay. But I'm just like, let me just take some notes because what she's saying is facts. So she's talking about when you're doing EFT and you're tapping on certain points and you're doing this when I walk you guys through that and the affirmations that I walk you through, you're taking the time to ground yourself back in your body. Because when you're experiencing strong emotion and your thoughts are going, you have built an imaginary palace up there. And you are in your palace and you're having a full tantrum in your palace, but not in your actual body. And what I mean by that is when you take the time to feel yourself, you're like, ooh, I don't like the way that feels. Okay, I got to shift this. I need to go walk or something. Like this needs to get out of me. And I can say is that when you do that, you are actually taking the time to trust yourself more because you know that you truly can get better. And then giving yourself a timeout. I remember back when I was younger, my mom would just say, I'm on timeout. I'm in my room. Please don't come into my room. When I come out my room, I'm good to have a conversation. But right now, I'm on timeout. I didn't say anything wrong, but I'm on timeout. Okay. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand you, lady, but okay, whatever. And I got the advice in my relationship. You should never go to bed angry. Sometimes you need to because you realize that you were just tired and you had no business yelling at all. And then you apologize.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say apologizing doesn't make you weak. It makes you strong. And something that I use mid conversation, just in my mind, I like saying a pono, which is I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And I literally am chanting in myself because it's calming myself down, it's releasing the positivity. And then the person starts actively changing. And they're like, what's going on? And I'm like, I'm ponoing right now. Because if they really ask, I'm like, I'm gonna tell you what I'm doing. They're like, oh, okay. And then and my husband, I'm like, you already know. He's like, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love it. We say it together, and so we're both calm because we had to figure out how do we calm ourselves down. And so that is something that we use to help build the trust, build the love, build the joy, build the laughter, and build the life that we want to have together. And so what I have another question for you because something came to my mind as I was saying that. There's a lot of people that are around me that are choosing divorce over choosing to work through the issues. Can you speak to that any? Like why do you think that's happening? Is it because they want to run away? The person's not doing enough because there's a lot of men and women whose their partner left and they don't get it. They're like, I did everything. I thought I heard them. I thought I saw them. I thought we were going to go to therapy to try to figure this out, but they still left. This doesn't make any sense.
Right. There's so many aspects I could speak to that from because sometimes it's that you weren't in the right relationship to start with. Right? Like, here's the thing, like relationships can last a moment. Like you and I could run into each other at the grocery store, have like a super cool moment of connection and never see each other again. And that can be just as powerful as a 10-year marriage. Right. Like, so I was married for 2 years. My husband and I were like, we're actually going to honor our vows more if we break up and become friends. So I was just at his second marriage on Memorial Day weekend. Right. I went to his wedding with his new wife and with my boyfriend. Right. So like, there are some times where it is time to just honor that it is time to be done. Right. You know, and of course, then there's sometimes like abusive and not very healthy situations and betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
And wherever you go, there you are. So if you're leaving a relationship because you're not getting what you need, how much of that's coming from you and what you're seeing and what you learned? You know, there's so many aspects to it, right? How much is them? How much is you? It's all you. Let me tell you that, right? At some level,
Mm-hmm.
because you chose to be there, you chose to interact. And I'm not victim blaming or victim shaming or anything like that. But there's, you know, people get in chaos because they're comfortable with chaos. People get in chaos because, I mean, I've done it. I had to climb out a window when I was 26 in one of my relationships, you know? So like, I get that sometimes you're like, how did that go to that? And it's just time to be done. And maybe I should have been done years ago. I didn't really answer your question because it's complex. But what I do want to say for people that are going through divorce challenges is do the best to work on yourself even before you work on your relationship, because your partner and the relationship are like a triangle. And when you work on one, you're affecting both, just like your ho'oponopono. I always say that wrong. Your ho'oponopono, right? You change, then they naturally have to change. When your triggers change, what they say to you doesn't trigger you anymore. That changes the whole relationship dynamic, right? So when we can work on ourselves or our feelings of safety or feelings of abandonment, whatever it is, everything can become a little more focused. And yeah, it still hurts. Like it still hurt when my husband and I got divorced. I love him very much. It still took a long time to heal. And it was the healthiest thing for us at that point in time. Right.
Thank
So
you so much. And I know it was a very complex question. So I was like,
yeah.
you really can't answer this, but you know what? I want you to, just give us from your perspective, because that's why I love bringing on different people, because we
Mm-hmm.
get more and more gems in in our toolkit. And then we
Yeah.
can pull up these gems and say, you know what? This is what I'm going to use. And something me and my mom talk about a lot, because my mom is a therapist, a retired therapist. So I've been having
Mm-hmm.
therapy since the womb. Okay. And something she always tells me, she's like, if you're feeling that so strong in you, you've done this to yourself. So where have you cheated yourself? Where were you dishonest with yourself? When did you first pick at yourself? And then I still go back and I'm like, well, dang, Flabbit. She right. Dang, Flabbit. Where's Toodles when I need her? The Mickey Mouse Clubhouse? Where are my tools at? Like, what am I going to use to dismantle this one? Because this is not going to be a gun in my life no more pointed at me. And it can go off
Right.
at any time. I'm done with that. And something else that I can say is that what I also realize is, even if it's not something that is in this lifetime, it's about to get very deep, y'all. It was from a previous lifetime, and it was an ancestor that did this. And that's what the Bible, if you guys believe in the Bible, talks about with generational curses. They're not really curses if you have the awareness of what they are, so you don't repeat the pattern over and over again, because that's why history repeats itself, because so many people are unaware that it just naturally starts going. Because when you have awareness, you can what? Facilitate a change. Y'all already know what I say on this show. You already know. You have to have the awareness, because if you don't even know, then you don't know. It's the Johari's window. I think that's what it's called, where it's your blind spot. Then it's the unknown things, and you're like, you really don't know what you don't know, and there's nothing wrong not knowing. You can take the steps actively, one step at a time, though, to get more in awareness of what will work for you. And something else that I want to ask you, because we're going to have to wrap up, and I'm sad that we have to wrap up because I like talking to you so much. Okay,
We'll
let me
connect again for sure. For sure.
definitely, because I'm like, let me build this bridge and let me cross it. Okay, I've crossed it, y'all. Uh, So my question to you is, hmm, do you have any final thoughts or takeaways for the listeners to improve their relationships not only with themselves, but also with others?
So I wrote a book called What Happened to My Friendships During COVID. And one of the books that I recommend, or what I ask people to look at, is what are they attached to in accordance to their identity. So Don Miguel Ruiz talks about the 5 levels of attachment, right? Have you read the book?
I
It's
have,
so
I
great,
have
right?
it.
So yeah, so sometimes we get attached to the way we think someone should be or the way they should say things. And when they don't do that, we get personally offended because it threatens our safety, our identity, who we are, instead of just being like, okay, well, I'm attached to that. Let me let the attachment go. And I think that happens broad based in our society right now, around religion, around politics, around whatever you want to name, soccer games, football games. We got people running each other with buses. Like, that's a high level of attachment versus like, that was a cool game, you know? So same thing happens in relationships. What are we attached to as far as our beliefs, ideals, how we believe we should or shouldn't be treated, and what that looks like. And sometimes, of course, that's totally appropriate, but is it an attachment, or is it like that deep-seated need, value, and principle? Because those things are different.
Oh yeah.
Principles and attachments.
And I can say this is some people don't like this about me, and I tell them I was like, what you got fail to understand is I don't have attachments to a lot of things.
Mhm.
So when I say bye, like I could probably not ever talk to you ever again, and I'm fine with that. And it's not because I don't love you. It's because I know that we took the time to co-create what we created, and that creation was enough. And if we decide to go and co-create something else, that's still going to be awesome, but it's not required because my love survives on. And so I love that. And I'll quickly say this as we close out. Y'all, in my marriage, we went to marriage counseling, but first we went to individual counseling and we got the help that we needed by ourselves. And then when we came together, my husband told me, I just want you to take care of you fully. That's it. And I was like, here I am trying to be this like Proverbs 31 woman and all these things that society tells me I need to be. And I just need to take care of me. So I will say, have the communication, talk things out, and it's going to be all right. So now we're going to head to the top, or not the topic section. Oh my gosh. Now we're going to head to the gift section where I'm going to let you know what we're currently offering. Can you share with the audience where they can find you?
Yeah. So I know you've got a big YouTube following. I'm at the ampersand Your Unified Mind on YouTube, so people can learn tapping and get hypnotherapy videos. Otherwise, for your audience, I'm also offering a free online tapping course. It's like 30 minutes. You can listen to it in the car. It's got a PDF. It's got all the things. It's got a 6-minute video. And you can find that at unifiedmind.info/EFT self-care. Because I think y'all need to heal yourselves in the most positive and powerful way and empowering way that you can, right? Like we get to, it's part of our birthright to find the joy and the love with each other and ourselves.
Oh, yeah. And I could just feel the positive energy from over here. And I'm like, it feels good to feel good. So
Yeah.
thank you guys for listening. And you know what? Let's go ahead and close out.